So I've really focused on how to make that happen, but also to make sure that we take action. Because you've heard so many beautiful philosophies today, and I think philosophy is what gives us the quality of life, but only if we act on it, right? It's philosophy and strategy with action. A philosophy you don't act on is a dead philosophy. And so the secret is getting yourself to do it, and the problem is we all have trained, we've been conditioned and trained to learn in a passive state, which does not make you use what you learn. And it comes from going to a 20th century school, which virtually everybody in this room did. What happens in a 20th century school? What'd you learn? The bell rings, and what are you supposed to do? Tell me quick. You're supposed to report to your desk, your position. And why do they want you to do that as soon as the bell rings? And by the way, when it rings and you go to your position, what are you supposed to do? Initiate, make things happen, start a conversation? Now, what are you supposed to do when you got to your desk? What?
Sit down.
Sit down and what? Shut up. Don't talk to your neighbor. Don't do anything until you're told what to do. How many of you own your own business? I'm curious. Wow. Huge sum. How many of you in your own life are not willing to just wait for someone else to tell you what to do? Either way. If you're in business, you wait for someone to tell you to do, you're out of business. If you don't talk to your neighbor today, there's no connection, there's no impact, there's no anything.
Whatever you sow, you shall reap. Fairly blunt, hopefully clear. Here's my first suggestion on the law of sowing and reaping. Don't try to beat it. You might as well try sitting on the sun in the morning. Keep it from coming up. You'll have better luck. Whatever you sow, you reap. Now, for a fair share of my life, I'm a bit mixed up on how all this applies. Among a lot of things I was mixed up on. I knew I wasn't reaping too good. That I understood. My problem was I was confused about what was causing it. Remember me with the funny list? I thought those were the reasons why it isn't working out well. And then Mr. Schoaf gave me the clue that helped me figure it all out. He said, Mr. Owen, I have another answer for you. There's another way to quote this law that'll show you where the problem is so you can go to work on it right away. All you need to know is where the problem is, then you can go to work on it. So he quoted me the law another way, and I found out what my problem was. Here's the way you quote the law. Whatever you reap is what you've sown. Now I knew what my problem was. Whatever you reap is what you've sown. If you don't like the crop, who do you look up? Answer, whoever planted it. And where do you find who planted your crop? Answer, in the mirror. What I finally learned to do come fall was to go to the mirror. That's where you go. And if necessary, you say, a few skinny carrots? I got to be unimpressed. Where were you last spring? Asleep. Didn't you read the books? Did you break your hoe?
If you sit and learn in a passive state, as you have today, it feels really comfortable, it feels really beautiful. And you take it in, you feel all the emotion. But the problem is there's no sense of action tied to it. So if you're sitting here right now, and let's say we're talking, you're like, this makes sense, or yeah, I want to apply this, or this, I think this would make a difference in my relationship, or damn, he has big teeth, whatever you're thinking right now while you're watching, right? But if you're sitting here and you're in a great state, but you're learning like this, you might go, that's really important, I'm going to do that. I really am. And later on, your brain will go, I need to do that. I really do. And there's not enough to push you over the edge. How many follow what I'm talking about here? Say aye.
Aye.
So I'm going to ask you a couple things. One, you're already doing it. If I ask you a question, please yell out the answer. It's not so we have a revival session, because I don't really believe in positive thinking. I never have. Oprah knows that. I believe in the truth. I believe in intelligence. I don't think you should go to your garden and say, there's no weeds, there's no weeds, there's no weeds, and chant a bunch of affirmations. I believe you got to find the weed and pull it out. That's being pragmatic, that's practical, that's real. And you're going to feel better when you're taking the right actions. Or you can feel better by thinking nice thoughts, but then you'll go back and your life still won't respect the results. So my flavor is about results. My flavor is not about just discussion. And so it might feel a little bit jolting to you because I've watched some of the talks and they're so laid back and so enjoyable. But if you want to try on the flavor, you might find there's a skill set there that you might find useful in your life. Who's open to it? Say aye.
Aye.
Then if we yell back the answers, the other value is research shows if you sit and listen passively, in 30 days you'll remember 10% of what I said, which means I wasted your time, I wasted mine. I don't want to waste your time or mine, and you don't want to waste yours. I came here with a heart saying, I don't come here to give a talk. I come here to make sure you have the chance, if you want to change your life today without any exaggeration or hyperbole in that statement. Because what changed, thank you, give a hand, let's do it. I like that.
Some people never will have much. They're too cautious. Now, you can also be too reckless, but you can also be too cautious. This is called the timid approach to life. And my caution was always the risk. Risk used to drive me right up the wall. I used to say, what if this happens? It's called the language of the poor. What if this happens? And on top of that, if this was to happen, look at the fix I'd be in. I better not try. I could always ace myself out. Then I'll tell you what changed my whole life when I finally discovered it's all risky. The minute you were born, it got risky. If you think trying is risky, wait till they hand you the bill for not trying. If you think investing is risky, wait till you get the tab for not investing. See, it's all risky. Getting married is risky. Having children is risky. Going into business is risky. Investing your money is risky. It's all risky. I'll tell you how risky life is. You're not going to get out alive. That's risky. The Englishman says, well, if that's the way it's going to work out, let's give it a go. Right, that's what it's for. Give it a go. Somebody says, yeah, but I'm looking for safety and security. Fine, then huddle in a corner. We'll cover you with a sheet, bring you 3 meals a day. And we'll protect you, feed you, look after you, care for you. We won't let anything happen to you. And you'll probably live to be 100. The guy said, well, yeah, I'd live to be 100. But what a way to live. Right. What a way to live safe and secure. Don't ask for security. Ask for adventure. Better to live 30 years full of adventure than 100 years safe in the corner. And see, it's not important how long you live. What's important is how you live.
Because the only thing that changes our life is not more information. Knowledge is not power. It's potential power. What's more important than knowledge? What's more important than information?
Action.
That's right. Execution trumps knowledge every day of the week. And lots of us, how many of you in this room already know lots of things you should be doing that would make your life better, but you're not doing it? Raise your hand and say, aye. So part of that is we've been trained to be passive, and I'd like to see if we could train ourselves to be a bit more active. So the way to do this, to give you an example, might be to say, let's use our bodies in the most active way, not just yelling back and forth, but we also want energy. Because if you really think about it, what gets you to build something, create something, make something happen is energy. If the energy's not there, you're going to have the best intent, you're going to have a beautiful heart, but you're going to have to follow through. In fact, if I said to you there are two people that loved each other, and they're in a relationship, and they adore each other, and they both are living life where they feel so much passion, so much aliveness, not just for each other, but the way they live their life. They're in a beautiful state. They have high energy. They feel really good. They're in what I would call just an extraordinary state of mind and heart. What's this relationship going to be like when two people are absolutely living the way they want to live? They're not beating themselves up. They're going for it. They're succeeding and failing, but they're feeling fully alive. How will the relationship be? You tell me. Good, poor, okay, great? What will be? It's going to be incredible, because that energy puts us in a state where we're going to do the right things automatically. You don't have to work on it. It doesn't take willpower when you're in the right state. But when you're in the wrong state, let's go to two people that are doing okay. Their life is not where they want it to be. They're really not enjoying their work that much. They got frustrations with the children, and they don't have frustrations with each other, but they're in that state all day long. And they both love each other, but they're okay. What's the relationship going to be like? Extraordinary? Okay, or terrible? What would you say? Okay. And okay really is terrible. Is it not? If you say to a woman, how's it going? Okay, or is it true? Or a better one, fine. You all know what fine means, right? I know what fine means. I'm not a dumb guy, right? But if you got two people in a really lousy state, low energy, lousy energy, it's not about each other. They're stressed about things. They're overwhelmed. They've allowed the external world to control their internal world. They've lost their center. And they love each other, and they're both in lousy states. Are they going to say and do things that are going to mess this relationship up, even though they love each other? Yes or no? You better believe it. So that's the danger zone. The other danger zone is one of you is in a great state and one is in a crappy state. Because when that happens, you work so hard to be in a good state. Why can't they be happy? Who knows what I'm talking about? Or honestly, if you're extremely feminine, you'll come down here and feel them with them so they feel solidarity, and now you both feel like we've made some real progress. Right? Who knows what I'm talking about here? Say aye. So I'd like to offer you an alternative if you're willing to try it on for 90 minutes. You can always go back to the old way if you don't like it, but to see if you aren't getting the level of result you want so far, and you're as committed as you are, you're in this room today, you're a seeker. There's a step beyond seeker. It's a liver. It's when you live this stuff. And you can't just, I should say you can't. You can do whatever you want. But for me, a seeker is step one. Then you got to start holding yourself to higher standards. Say, how am I applying it? Not beating yourself up, just going, okay, if I'm not, let me pick one thing and I'm going to do that this week. Just one thing.
In order to be complete, and that's when you really have a 100% chance at being successful. When you have a complete situation, that means that you have developed your body, meaning your health, your strength, your energy, and all of that makes you much more positive, right? Because that's when you wake up, when you feel strong, and you feel fit, and you ride the bicycle in the morning, the whole world looks much more bright. So the training of the body, extremely important. The training of the mind, extremely important. That's why I say to people, I say you got to educate yourself, you got to read something every day, you got to learn a new language. Just always improve and look at what can you do to improve your business or your life in general. So to develop the mind, and then to develop the spiritual side and the soul, extremely important also. So if we put those three things together, we have total completion. This is why the physical training, and I'm not talking about wanting to win Mr. Olympia, no. We're talking about just take some light weights and do your reps. Pump up the body, and get some blood in there. Then go and run. Go and run the stairs. Go and exercise. Go to a yoga class. Do some weight training. Or when you have kids, go out and play sports. Just go football playing and go soccer playing and tennis playing and this, whatever you can. That is what creates kind of life in you, and therefore more enthusiasm, and you have a much more positive outlook on life.
Many times I've gone with what I thought was fact, and sometimes which I thought were pretty good hunches, and I didn't do so well. But I'm very fortunate that more than 50% of the time I did do very, very well.
Yeah.
And I'm finding out more recently in my life, the last couple of years, that you try not to just think with your brain, but think with your heart.
Right.
How do you feel about the situation? How do you feel about the people? No matter how kind they are. And I've had some really nice people, got in foreign countries and everything else, that were the nicest people in the world, turned out to be total rip-offs. But I didn't know that. There were clues along the way. So I say to everybody, and I say to myself now, feel the person out or feel the situation out with your heart. What is your instinct? I think now more in life, but I go off instinct plus facts. Obviously, you have to have some facts along with it.
Does it become easier the more you do it?
Yep.
Okay.
Much easier. When you're set to, well, how do I feel about this, shall we say, with data, stable data that I have? How do I feel about these facts? And how I feel about it, just my intuition, how do I feel about it from my heart?
Yeah.
And the more you think about doing it that way, the more it happens.
The fundamental connection to doing business is basically relationships. People really, if you really think about it, people want to do business with people they like. I mean, every now and then you'll do a deal with the devil, but you don't really like the devil, but you do it sometime. But you'd really much rather do business with somebody you like, somebody who shares your values, somebody who you know is committed to the same objectives you are, somebody who's willing to work as hard as you are. And when you find those people, those are the people you want to bring under your tent to be part of your business objective. And you've got to do that by sort of presenting yourself in a way that people clearly understand that you are committed to creating value. Business people want to create value. It doesn't mean they don't want to have fun, doesn't mean that they don't want to be involved in other kinds of things, but if you can go to someone and convince them that I can help you create value, and by you ability to articulate that and to communicate it, and to give people the impression that you will work as hard as they will to create that value, you're going to find people wanting to come to you. And so for me, it's sort of been like that throughout my whole career, is being able to say to people and talk to people in a way that convinces them that I am going to do everything I can to help make what they want to achieve a success, and by extension, I'm going to be a success. When I started BET, the guy who invested in BET is a guy named John Malone. He was at that time the operator of the third largest cable company in Denver, Colorado, and he kept investing money into BET without taking additional equity. And as BET became a big success, you know, I ended up with about 75% of the company. He ended up with about 25% of the company. And one day I asked him, I said, John, you put over $500,000 in BET on the startup. You put it in as debt. You didn't put it in as equity, which would have given him greater ownership. I said, why'd you do it that way? And he said, Bob, I always knew you would work harder for yourself than you would for me. And it was that kind of commitment. So if you can convey to people that you're willing to work hard for them and for yourself, you've got a business partner. You're connecting the dots.